Whatever rocks your socks, whatever spins your top, whatever winds your watch, whatever flips your flop, whatever turns you on, whatever flies your flag, whatever bangs your gong, or whatever swings your bag. Do it often, but do it well, 'cause nobody knows and there's no way to tell when the ride ends.
Hi, thank you for coming. I had two weird experiences this week. I mentioned on social media, on two different places, two different threads, that I am fascinated with Kim Kardashian and I want to see the Barbie movie. And people called me a rube, called me a hick, said I was immature. They disdained me. I mean, the tone of voice, because I said I like Kim Kardashian and I want to see the Barbie movie. You know, it's weird. First of all, Kim Kardashian is an absolutely unique story. I'm interested in show business a lot. And nobody has ever done what Kim Kardashian has done. The woman has no talent at anything. She can't sing, she can't dance, she can't write music, she can't write prose, she can't direct, she can't produce. She cannot do anything, and yet she is one of the wealthiest women in the world. Nobody else has ever done that. She's fascinating, and she's not hard to look at. The other thing, the Barbie movie, man, I worked in props. Barbie's a prop. Of course I'm going to go see a movie that's named after a prop. Of course I am. God, I've seen Toy Story 100 times. The Maltese Falcon, I've seen 200 times. So this elitism escapes me, and I've seen it before. You know, because Steve likes the canon of the American musical theater and I don't. Steve is X. You know, I don't get it. Look, I don't understand NASCAR, all right? I don't understand motorsports at all. My version of hell would be having to sit and watch cars or motorcycles or horses go around and around and around a track. But I don't disdain people who enjoy watching motorsports. I don't like sports of any kind. I don't get it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do at a sporting event. I can understand wanting to play a game, but wanting to watch millionaires play a game and pay money to watch millionaires play a game, I don't get that. And they go on forever. My God, a baseball game never ends. Cricket lasts for days, doesn't it? So I don't get it, but I don't turn up my nose at people who do enjoy it. Listen, I can quote pages of Shakespeare, pages of it. That doesn't make me more discerning than you, or more intellectual than you, or more sophisticated than you. It just means that my memory is selective. I can remember pages of Shakespeare. I cannot tell you my mother's phone number. How now, Thersites, what lost in the labyrinth of thy fury? Shall the elephant Ajax carry it thus? He beats me, and I rail at him. A worthy satisfaction that, 'twould otherwise that I could beat him whilst he railed at me. Sfoot, I'll learn to conjure and raise devils, or else see some issue of my spiteful execrations. Then there's Achilles, O rare engineer he. Why, if Troy be not taken to these to undermine it, the walls shall stand till they fall of themselves. Thou mighty thunder darter, forget that thou art Jove, king of the gods, and Mercury, lose all the serpentine craft of thy caduceus, if ye take it not that little less than little wit from them that they have, which short-armed ignorance itself knows is so abundant scarce, 'twould not in circumvention release a fly from a spider, without drawing their massy irons and cutting the web. After this, a vengeance on the whole camp, or rather the Neapolitan bone ache, for that methinks is a curse dependent on them that war for a placket. I have said my prayers, and devil envy say amen. But don't ask me what my mother's phone number is. All right? It's just what I like. I like Shakespeare. You want more? Yeah, in the comments if you want more. I do the dagger speech really well from the Scottish play. Anyway, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. You don't want to go see Barbie? Don't go see Barbie. You know, I'm not telling you should. It's just something I think I would like very much. It seems right in my wheelhouse. And I don't feel like I should have to defend myself because I like the canon of the American musical theater, or I like movies about props. I like Burger King more than McDonald's. Does that make me a rube? Does that make me a hick? No, you know, as my Uncle Dick used to say, for them that like that sort of thing, that is the sort of thing that they like. Listen, let me tell you a story. It has nothing to do with Barbie. So Matt, hang on. So I was traveling with this guy in 83. Lou Franceschini. He was walking across America to raise money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. And I was his road manager. That's what he called me. I drove a Jeep that had been donated by the post office in Memphis, Tennessee, which is where St. Jude's is. And I would drive 20 miles each day. Lou started out in Sacramento, California, Governor Jerry Brown's office, and he ended up over the course of 14 months walking 4,000 miles down to San Diego, across all the way to Texas, up to Memphis again, back down to Florida, and up the coast to Washington, D.C., where he finished his walk in the congressman's office, whoever was congressman for Memphis at that time. And I stayed with him from Sacramento to Lordsburg, New Mexico, 3 months, 20 miles a day, down the coast to San Diego and across Highway 10 through the desert, 20 miles a day. And in places like the desert where there was nothing around, we would just stop on the side of the highway and pitch a tent and sleep there. And I drove this Jeep, and the Jeep was full of camping supplies and press releases. And my job was to go do interviews at newspapers and radio and television and promote the walk, and also do the laundry and shopping and go place to place and try to find us someplace we could sleep that wasn't the side of the road. A lot of Jewish community centers, volunteer firehouses, sorority houses, fraternity houses. They'd let us sleep on their lawn and take a shower and use the bathroom. So I got us a permission to sleep on the front lawn of a Catholic church in Solvang, California, which has no distinction, Solvang, except it's where Ronald Reagan used to vote. It's the closest voting station to the Reagan Ranch, and that's where Ronald used to vote. Other than that, it's just another pokey little town in California. So I go out and pick up Lou. He finishes his 20 miles, and I got cans of fluorescent spray paint. I paint a big X on the side of the road. Next morning, I'll take him out there, drop him off there, and go pick him up 20 miles down the road at the end of the day. And during the day, I would get gasoline donated for the Jeep and give talks at these centers and groups, Lions, Kiwanis, Rotary, and get donations for the walk. A penny a mile, 2 pennies a mile, 3 pennies a mile. And it was a good gig. I mean, it was a way to spend the time. I was kind of in crisis. I had a love affair in Memphis breakup, and I needed to get out of Memphis and do something else. And so this is what I did. And so we go to Solvang, and I pitched tent in the front lawn of this Catholic church, and I had spoken to the priest, who was an Irishman. And he said, yeah, go ahead, park out in front, and you can use our showers and use our kitchen to cook your meal. So I go out on the highway, and I pick up the Pacific Coast Highway 5, I think it is, pick up Lou, spray the X, bring him back, and he's sick. Lou has come down with a flu, some kind of bug, and he's sneezing, and his nose is running, and his eyes are red, and he's really miserable. So we come back, and he crashes in the tent, and I say, you want to eat? No. You want to shower? No. So I go inside, and I tell the priest, we won't be showering or eating, thank you very much, because Lou is sick. And he says, he's sick, it's going to rain tonight. Bring him in. And I'll spare you my Irish accent, because the last time I pulled it out, it didn't get a good response. So I'll spare you the Irish accent, but he talked like a leprechaun, this guy. So he says, come in, we have a theater. We have an auditorium with a stage. You guys are actors. You sleep on the stage tonight. You'll be dry and warm. So we come in, we throw our sleeping bags out on the stage floor. There's a single ghost light. If you've ever been on a stage at night, you never leave a stage dark. Never leave a stage dark. And you don't quote the Scottish play in a hotel room in Phuket, Thailand. But we went in, we were going to go to sleep, and the priest walks into the auditorium. He's got a tray. He's got 3 ceramic mugs, a pot of hot tea, a jar of honey, and a quart of wild turkey whiskey. And he says, this will fix your boy up. And we sat there and we drank tea and whiskey until Lou fell asleep. And me and the priest sat up all hours, like 2 a.m, talking, shooting the breeze. And I said, finally, we have to hit the road at dawn tomorrow. I got to go to sleep. Good night. And he said, listen, can I tell you something? And I said, yeah, sure. He said, I don't believe in God. He's wearing the black with the collar. He's a priest. He's a working priest. He said, I don't believe in God. It's 2 a.m. We're all alone. Single light source. His face is in shadow. And I said something like, huh? He said, yeah, I lost my faith about 10 years ago. But I'm a good priest, and I do a lot of stuff for this community that's not connected to faith. And I only know one job. It's all I've ever done in my life. And I don't think I can change now. So I keep doing the job. I don't believe there's a God. Good night. And he walked off into the shadows. And the next morning we got up at sunrise, and Lou felt much better. And he started walking. I got in my Jeep and I drove away. And I never saw that guy again. Never heard from that priest again. But a priest confessed to me. I realized later what he was doing was confessing. I took a priest's confession, and I have not kept it private. I've told this story before. This is not so much a story. I just want to tell you about a guy I knew, Joe DiMaggio. Not a long time ago, during World War II, at the end of World War II, the only people in the world who knew how to fly jet aircraft were either dead German pilots or living Italian pilots who had been trained by the Germans when all their pilots were dying. They had these new Me-262s, the first jet aircraft in the world. And if they could have gotten enough of them in the air, they could have won the war. But they didn't, happily. But at the end of the war, all of the Russians and the Americans were fighting over these Italians. They were the only men in the world who had ever flown jet aircraft. And both sides wanted them because everybody knew the future was jet. So the United States grabbed a bunch of these Italian guys and said, do you want to come to America? We'll bring your family, and you teach American pilots how to fly these aircraft. And a lot of Italians said, yeah, sure, because Italy was kind of a hard place to live at the end of the war. And the Russians caught a few, and I think nobody really knows what they did with them, but they learned how to fly jets. So El Paso, Texas is where they brought them, out in the middle of the desert, Fort Bliss. And that's where, at the airfield at Fort Bliss, they taught American pilots. And they took them to El Paso because it would be virtually impossible to run away as an Italian in Texas at the end of World War II. So they stayed there. They brought their wives over, their family, their kids. There's a lot of Italian families in El Paso, Texas. And Joe is one of them. He is in one of them. He's Giuseppe DiMaggio Jr., Joe DiMaggio to his friends. He lives on Willie Mays Street, which you get to off of Ty Cobb Avenue, which you get to off of Mickey Mantle Boulevard. He's in a part of El Paso called Cooperstown, because all the streets are named after ball players. And that's where Joe DiMaggio bought his house. And I wrote a book once. I was invited to collaborate on a detective novel set in Bangkok by a very well-known, successful novelist. And it didn't work out. It turned Steve is not fit to collaborate or share anything. And he said, if you think you know how to write a novel, you go write your novel. And I said, okay, I will. And so I was writing a book which became called Bangkok Buckaroo, which is a comic, I hope, detective novel set in Bangkok, but it's a cowboy novel because I was living in El Paso. I was reading cowboy novels. It's Louis L'Amour in Bangkok. And I'm getting near the end of it, and I don't have a name for my detective, for my cowboy. He's the sheriff of Soy Cowboy. It's what he is. And I wanted a good name, a good strong name, and I just had a word inserted there in the manuscript. And I used to go Friday nights to Joe DiMaggio's house for card games. A bunch of divorced guys used to hang out there on Friday nights. And I'd stay till Sunday morning or Saturday morning because I had to drive back to Las Cruces. It was about a 90-minute drive, after a night of hanging out with other old divorced men and playing cards. I didn't want to drive home, so I'd sleep on Joe's sofa. And this particular weekend, Joe got up. He had a job painting houses, and he left Saturday morning before I got up to go paint a house. I got up. I made coffee. I ate breakfast. I had a cigarette. I went to the bathroom. I'm a creature of rock-solid habits. And I'm in the bathroom, and I need something to read, another habit. And Joe has precious few books. He's got a shelf with about a dozen books on it, and that's it. Joe's not a reader. And there's a detective novel. I forget what it's called now, but it's a New York detective novel. I'm only going to read a couple pages in the bathroom. Doesn't matter what it is. So I take this novel. I go in the bathroom. I sit down. I open the book. Any random page. I just open the middle of the book. And I look down. And my eyes fall on two words, Joe DiMaggio. And it's in a sentence describing a stakeout where two detectives are trying to stay awake. They're telling each other the stories of their lives. And one guy says, how'd you get into police work? And the other one says, well, I wanted to be a ball player. I was pretty good. My mom thought I'd be the next Joe DiMaggio, but it didn't work out, so I became a cop. Two random words in the middle of a novel I'd never heard of, whose name I can't remember. And I'm in Joe DiMaggio's house, and the two random words are Joe DiMaggio. So that became the name of the sheriff of Soy Cowboy. Joe DiMaggio. All right, that's my time. Thank you very much, as always, for coming. Listen, I seem to be stuck at 3,000 subs, but I'm getting a lot more views. Why don't you subscribe? If you're here and you've stayed 16 minutes to listen to Steve talk about some guy in El Paso, Texas named Joe DiMaggio, subscribe, will ya? You know, do me a favor. And other than that, have a great week. I'll see you next Friday. Oh, listen, Boontongs, I'm working on a set that I've been gathering props for this set since I got here 15 months ago. It's going to have over 200 props on this set. It's a Nitnoy shop. You know, the old Chinese shop houses with a shrine down at the far end in the gloom, and shelves and tables full of stuff. I've been gathering small stuff for 15 months to do this set, and I want to do it right. I want to put weeks into it. So there won't be a Boontongs video for a couple of weeks anyway, but hopefully I won't end up embarrassed like I was. There are a couple recent videos I rushed, and I wasn't happy, and I wish I had time to do them over again. But that's where it is. Instead, I'm going to take more time. Instead of every other week, I'm going to put the time into a Boontongs video that it deserves, that I think I'll be proud of the product. So that's where we are. So thank you very much for coming. Have a terrific week. Remember that I love you. Bye-bye.
Whatever shaves your sheep, whatever bakes your lamb, whatever digs your peat, whatever smokes your ham, whatever blows your nose, whatever chews your bone, whatever squirts your hose, whatever sings your song, do it often but do it well. Nobody knows and there's no way to tell. When you're riding, shoot down to that